Kirk Weaver.
Hi Kirk, how you doing?
Good, how are you doing?
Good, thanks for the test drive right now. We are in a Volkswagen Golf
TDI.
Woohoo. And this is running on what now?
This is running on B20, or well, actually it's B-5.
B-5, okay.
B-5 is what Volkswagen's warranted to today.
Okay.
They're working with their suppliers to come up with a potential solution to get to B20. But they're at B-5 right now, and the interesting thing about TDI is that they've got a TDI Jetta racing cup that they actually have and run B-5 diesel on the entire race cup. So
that's cool.
Got over 10 races a season, and they run all the generators and trucks on B20, and then they run B5 for all their vehicles that are racing in the race.
So is that similar to like NASCAR but with biodiesel?
It's very similar to NASCAR. It's actually like a incubator type series where they get young drivers that are 19 years old to I think in their 20s. And that's usually their first professional racing experience. And those that win and do well end up going on to race and things like NASCAR.
So when you're driving like a diesel like this that is running on biodiesel, how is like the temperatures outside? Does that affect it at all?
Nah, not at all.
It's riding really smooth.
Yeah, it's a lot of people comment that they don't even know they're riding in a diesel.
Yeah, that's true. I don't. It doesn't sound like a diesel like I would imagine it would be, you know.
Yeah, a lot of the noise, all the noise and vibration and harshness that we used to associated with the diesels in the 80s is gone, and it's largely due to what we call common rail injection systems that are very high pressure. The fuel pump in this vehicle runs at 26,000 psi.
Okay.
And it has a piezoelectric type fuel injector called a common rail fuel injector. Typically it's made by Bosch. And that piezoelectric fuel injector system has the ability to inject, I may be a little bit off, but it's at least 5 times per cycle of the piston. So it's able to modify that based on engine temperature and speed, and it really reduces the noise and vibration and harshness people typically associate with diesels. So it runs like a gas car in terms of that.
That's really nice. I like that a lot.
But the interesting thing about this car is it's only 140 horsepower, but it's got 236 foot-pounds of torque. So it's creating torque that's like a BMW 328i, typical V6 engine. Gas engines typically have a torque band that's roughly the same number as their horsepower. So if you had a V6 236 horsepower engine, you might get 236 foot-pounds of torque. It's going to be a little different.
Okay.
But the interesting thing about diesels is you can get a very high torque with very low horsepower because the compression ratio is different. It's also a turbo direct inject, so you have a turbo. And then the torque band is at very low RPM, 1700 to 2400 RPM is where the maximum torque is, so you can really take off the line and go quickly.
Nice.
But it's very quiet. If there's a car you want to drive on the highway, this is it, because typically if you're going 70 mile an hour and you need to go 80 mile an hour to go around somebody, typically you can barely touch the gas. It feels like it's connected to you, and if you're in an automatic transmission, because of the low torque, it doesn't even have to downshift, so you don't get that step up and whine that you would get in a gas car when you're trying to accelerate. So it's got a very low sound. It's an interesting, especially when you're around the track and you're watching the diesel Jetta TDI Cup. People remark at how quiet it is.
That is surprising because I'm a huge NASCAR fan, and so I go to all the races, and the noise from the engines is ridiculous compared to. I'm really surprised at how quiet this is.
A lot of people will say, well, that's because Jetta is only running the Jetta TDI Cup series are running on the European calibration of the engine, so they're running about 100 and I think it's 175 horsepower versus 140 horsepower. They're running about 270 foot-pounds of torque, so they're a little bit more powerful than the street car, but it's basically the same engine. It's just a different calibration because they don't need the exhaust package, the emissions control in Europe that we need here in the States.
Oh, okay.
So that's the difference in the calibration. But many people will say NASCAR is very loud, and you're dealing with a step function change in horsepower, size of engine, torque, and everything. But when you watch a professional R8 series, which is very, very comparable to what you get in NASCAR relative to horsepower and torque. And you watch that go around the track, it's amazing how quiet it is.
I'd be interested to see how that is. I'd like to go check it out.
It's amazing to watch the Jetta Cup Series. It's really good.
Now, do most diesel engines like this, do they run manual, or can you get them in automatic? Do you know?
Oh, you get them in automatic. In fact, I would recommend automatic just because of the low torque band. You're between 1,700 and 2,400 RPM. So if you really want to go fast or really want to operate it at its best engine efficiency, you want to operate with you have to shift and row through the gears pretty quickly.
Okay.
So it's actually kind of nice to have that DSG transmission, which is, as I said earlier, is 2 manual transmissions put together, and it has very quick shift points, 8 millisecond shifts. And it's a beautiful transmission. It also has the ability to move over to manual.
Oh, wow. Oh, cool. Kind of like a Shiftronic kind of thing?
Exactly.
Oh, very cool. Well, thank you so much, Kirk, for your time. I appreciate it, and we hope to meet you again.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you.